Hello, and welcome to another episode of In Just 1 Minute or So. Today we're talking about why most feedback fails and what actually helps people improve. Have you ever given somebody clear advice and watched absolutely nothing change? Like you tell a colleague, be more confident in the meetings. Or you tell your child, you have to focus harder. Or you tell your team member, pay more attention to detail. The feedback sounds reasonable, it's direct, it's well intentioned, but rarely works. And the reason is because most feedback is designed from our perspective, not from the perspective of the person trying to improve. And we focus on what we want to say instead of what they actually need in order to perform better. And that's the difference between feedback that frustrates people and feedback that transforms performance. So today I want to show you a simple shift you can apply immediately. The biggest mistake. So most feedback sounds like this. Be more organized, communicate better, watch the details, do better next time. The problem? These comments identify the outcome, but not the path. And they tell people what's wrong without helping them discover what to change. And when people don't know exactly what to adjust, they usually respond in one of the three ways. They guess what to do, they overcorrect what they were doing, or they just lose confidence. And that's why criticism often creates a stress instead of improvement. Now, there is a story about a tennis lesson that explains this all. So imagine that there is a tennis coach telling a player, watch the ball. Technically, that's a good advice. But simply saying it doesn't make the player do it. And now imagine the coach ask instead, can you count how many times the ball spins before it reaches you? Suddenly, the player has to focus intensely. And without being told, watch harder. They naturally do exactly that. And this is the power of better feedback. Instead of commanding behavior, you create awareness, and awareness drives correction. So let's see how this applies at work. Let's say someone of your team gives inconsistent presentations, and a typical manager would say, well, you need to be more polished. That's very vague. A better approach would be, how many times did you pause after making a key point? Which slide seemed to lose audience attention? At what moment did you feel least confident? And these questions force reflection. They help people observe performance with precision. And when people can clearly see what's happening, they often self-correct naturally. So, using this three-step feedback method will help you improve your feedback quality. First, we want to replace judgment with observation. So, that wasn't very clear, isn't good feedback. Rather, which part do you think was hardest for them to follow? So, this removes defensiveness and it invites awareness. 2. Ask specific, measurable questions. Like, for instance, what happened in the first 30 seconds? How many interruptions happened? What percentage of the project was completed before the deadline? And third, let them discover the correction. So this is the hardest part because you rush to, or you want to rush to provide the answer. So ask instead, what would you change next time? When people identify their own adjustment, they own it. And ownership leads to lasting improvement. Also, be careful with praise, because even positive feedback can backfire if it creates dependency. If someone constantly needs external validation, was that good? Did I do okay? They stop developing internal judgment. So instead of saying, great job, that was excellent, try a different thing. What part of that are you most proud of? What do you think worked well? This builds self-awareness and autonomy. So, the goal of feedback isn't to prove your expertise, it's not to control people, it's not to point out flaws. Your goal is to help someone see clearly enough that improvement becomes natural. Don't you agree with that? And that was all for today. Thank you for joining and see you in the next episode.